The Barefoot Investor, The Only Money Guide You'll Ever Need, by Scott Pape. Introduction. Imagine for a moment, the world around you is turning to ash. The air is thick with the smell of smoke, a smell that gets into your lungs, into your brain. A blackened, traumatized sheep, its wool scorched into curly knots, limps across the road in front of you. In the distance, you hear the sharp crack of rifles, government workers putting your surviving animals out of their misery. You grip your wife's hand as you drive down what used to be your driveway. But where your home once stood, there are only 2 chimneys and a pile of rubble. Her wedding dress. Every last photo of her late father. All of your baby son's clothes and toys. Everything. Gone. Overhead, a TV news chopper hovers, turning your private tragedy into the nightly news. Your wife begins to scream, deep, guttural groans of pain. Your baby, strapped in his car seat, starts bawling in sympathy. In that single moment, at the absolute lowest point of your life, when everything you've worked for has been wiped from the face of the earth, you look in the rearview mirror, meet your own eyes, and a single, clear thought forms in your mind. I've got this. That is a true story. It's what happened to Scott Pape, a man who would become known to millions as the Barefoot Investor. And that one moment, that unshakable feeling of control in the face of total devastation, is the heart of the book we're going to explore today. This isn't just another money guide, it's a phenomenon. It's the best-selling Australian book of all time, having sold over 2 million copies, creating what some have called the biggest finance cult in Australia. Why? Because it doesn't just offer tips. It offers a promise. A promise that no matter what financial fire you face in your life, a job loss, a sudden illness, a relationship breakdown, you can build a system so strong, so simple, that you too will be able to look yourself in the eye and say, with total confidence, I've got this. So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by money, if you've ever worried about your future, or if you simply want a clear step-by-step path to financial freedom, then stay with me. Because today, we're going to walk the path of the Barefoot Investor, and I promise you, by the end of our time together, you'll understand exactly how to build a life where you never have to worry about money again. Book summary. Scott Pape's journey begins not in a boardroom, but on his family farm, surrounded by the simple, undeniable logic of nature. He learned a profound lesson from the ashes of his home. When you're faced with a million overwhelming tasks, where do you even begin? His answer was simple. He planted an apple tree. You don't plant an apple tree on a Saturday and come back on Sunday demanding apples. You don't pull it up a week later to see if the roots are growing. You plant the tree, you trust the process of nature, the sun, the rain, the soil, and you get on with your life. Years later, you walk past and notice it's grown strong, bearing fruit for you and your family. For generations. This, he says, is the secret to money. It follows nature's pattern: plant, grow, harvest. And this simple, 3-part journey is the framework for his entire philosophy. But before you can plant anything, you need the right mindset. Scott tells a story about 2 alpacas, Alberto and Pedro. They were aggressive, spit-green gunk-at-you protectors. After the fire, he saw these same 2 alpacas, their hooves badly burned, circling protectively around a small flock of traumatized sheep. They wouldn't let anyone near. Not the fire, not the pain, not even the men with rifles could make them back down. That was their job. That was their purpose. He calls this the alpaca attitude. It's a fierce, unshakable focus. It's the decision to stop being a groundhog, repeating the same mistakes day after day, and instead take absolute control of your situation. People with the alpaca attitude don't make excuses. They say, I can't afford this car, so I'll sell it, or we're going to work our butts off until we're debt-free. They are free because they've decided to take responsibility. And the first person you need to fight? Yourself. We all carry around negative beliefs about money that were formed when we were insecure teenagers. Scripts that play in our heads: I'm not smart with money. I don't earn enough. I've left it too late. Scott Pape says this is all just noise. Excuses. He argues that being good with money has more to do with your behavior than your brains. It's a learned skill, like driving. It's not about what you earn, but what you save. And it's never, ever too late to start. The goal is one word: control. To achieve that control, he lays out 9 simple, sequential steps. You do them one by one, in order. The power is in the focus, doing just one thing at a time. This isn't a book for flicking through. It's a book for doing. And it all begins with the first phase: plant. The planting phase isn't about spreadsheets or strict budgets. In fact, Scott believes budgets are like grapefruit diets. They set you up to fail. Instead, he begins with something much more human. Step 1 is to schedule a monthly Barefoot Date Night. That's right. The foundation of your entire financial life is a scheduled dinner date. If you have a partner, you go out together. If you're single, you can take a friend, or, as one woman named Janine did, you can take the book itself out to dinner. She was drowning in 6-figure debt and felt like she was dying inside. Every week, she took the book to a restaurant and worked through the steps. It literally saved her financial life. Why a date night? Because money talk is stressful. It's better with garlic bread and wine. It carves out dedicated time to work on your finances, not just be buried in them. For couples, it turns a source of conflict into a shared goal, reminding you that it's the two of you against the world. And it establishes a ritual. Pape points out that most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but drastically underestimate what they can achieve in 6. A single woman he coached, Danielle, went from being buried in credit card debt to owning her own home with a share portfolio in just 6 years, all on her own. That journey starts by planting the tree now. So, on your first date night, what do? You perform a little magic trick. You banish bank fees from your life forever. This leads us to the core of his system. Step 2. Set up your buckets. This is the famous serviette strategy, a plan so simple he literally sketched it on the back of a pub napkin for his wife, Liz. It gets rid of the need for a rigid budget by automating your money flow. Your income is the tap, and it flows into 3 main buckets: the blow bucket, the mojo bucket, and the grow bucket. The setup is brilliant in its simplicity. You use a few specific types of bank accounts to do the work for you. First, you set up 2 separate, zero-fee transaction accounts. He nicknames them daily expenses and splurge. Next, you set up 2 high-interest online savings accounts, linked to your daily account. He calls them Smile and Fire Extinguisher. Finally, and this is crucial, you open one more high-interest savings account at a completely different bank. This one is called your Mojo account. Now, you automate the flow. Your entire paycheck goes into the daily expenses account. From there, you set up automatic transfers. His benchmark percentages are a guide. 60% stays in your daily expenses account. This is for your core living costs: housing, bills, groceries, transport. This is the only number you really need to keep an eye on. 10% goes to your splurge account. This is for guilt-free spending. Lattes, shoes, beers with friends. It has its own debit card. When the money's gone for the month, it's gone. No dipping into other accounts. 10% goes to your Smile account. This is for longer-term savings goals that make you smile: a holiday, a wedding, a new car. You save for it over time, guilt-free. 20% goes to your fire extinguisher account. This is your wealth-building engine. You use this money to put out financial fires, first your debts, then saving for a house, then investing. And what about that separate Mojo account? On your first date night, your mission is to get $2,000 into it. Sell stuff on Gumtree, work overtime, do whatever it takes. This is your initial safety buffer for small emergencies. It's separate to make it harder to access, so you're not tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. With Mojo, you don't have financial emergencies anymore, you just have inconvenient expenses. This bucket system puts your money on autopilot. It replaces willpower with a system. It simplifies your financial life down to managing just one account, your daily expenses. You'll be able to manage your money in about 10 minutes a week. Now that the plumbing is in place, it's time to tackle the biggest drain on your financial well-being. Step 3. Domino your debts. Scott Pape has a fierce dislike for debt, especially credit cards. He calls them debt cards and sees them as the financial equivalent of a drug pusher, getting you hooked with a small taste when you're 18 and then relentlessly upping your limit. He argues that the rewards points are a sham, designed to make you spend more than you save, and that the promise of 55 days interest-free is a trap that most people eventually fall into. His solution isn't to slowly chip away at your debt. It's to declare war. He calls it the domino your debt strategy, and it's designed for psychological victory. First, you list all your debts, credit cards, personal loans, car loans, everything except your mortgage and student loan, from smallest to largest. You ignore the interest rates. Second, you negotiate. You call your lenders, tell them you're planning to switch to a 0% balance transfer offer from a competitor, and ask them to lower your rate. He provides word-for-word scripts, and they work surprisingly often. Third, you eliminate. You take all your credit cards and you cut them up. He encourages you to take a photo and share it online, a public declaration of freedom. Fourth, you detonate. You make the minimum repayments on all your debts, but you take all the money from your fire extinguisher bucket and throw it at your smallest debt first. You attack it relentlessly until it's gone. Finally, you celebrate. When that smallest debt is paid off, you hold a little ceremony. You burn the final statement. This small win builds momentum. You then take all the money you were paying on that first debt, the minimum payment plus your fire extinguisher money, and you roll it onto the next smallest debt. One by one, like dominoes, your debts fall. This method isn't just about math, it's about behavior. By getting quick wins, you build confidence and train your brain to see yourself as someone who is in control and winning with money. With these first 3 steps, the planting is done. You've built the infrastructure, automated your savings, and cleared the weeds of debt. Now, it's time to grow. The grow phase is about turning the income tap on full and building serious, long-term wealth. It starts with a simple but powerful idea. There's a limit to how much you can save, but there's no limit to how much you can earn. Scott encourages you to think about how you can double your income. This isn't about get-rich-quick schemes, it's about strategically increasing your value. He calls it career compounding. A week before your performance review, you identify the 3 most important tasks in your job and set ambitious goals for each. You take control of the review, present your plan, and ask for feedback. You then work diligently toward those goals, casually updating your boss on your progress throughout the year. It makes you stand out and positions you for raises and promotions. Or you can start a side hustle. He calls it swinging on the trapeze. You don't let go of the secure bar, your day job, until you're safely holding the next one, a profitable business. You test your idea, build your contacts, and work your butt off until your side income is secure enough to make the leap. With your income growing, you can now focus on the great Australian dream. Step 4. Buy your home. Scott is a firm believer in owning your own home. He sees it as a 30-year forced savings plan where your gains are tax-free. But more than that, it's about security. It's your castle. He warns against common mistakes: waiting for a market crash you can't control, buying a house you can't afford, becoming a postcode pavo, or buying an investment property first, which often just delays you from getting your own home. His plan is simple. Your new financial fire is your house deposit. You aim to save a 20% deposit to avoid the expensive trap of lender's mortgage insurance. How? You now point your entire fire extinguisher bucket at this goal. He shows how a couple on average wages could save a six-figure deposit in as little as 20 months by living frugally off one income and saving the other. It's an intense sprint, but it sets you up for life. Once you have your home, you move to the next gear. Step 5. Increase your super to 15%. Super is the Australian term for a retirement savings account, like a 401k. By law, employers have to contribute a percentage of an employee's salary into this fund. Scott says the mandated amount is not enough. Once you've bought your home, this becomes your next priority. You arrange with your employer to contribute extra from your pre-tax salary to bring your total super contributions up to 15%. Why is this so important? 2 reasons. First, the tax benefits are huge. You pay a much lower tax rate on money going into super. Second, and more importantly, it's your defense against inflation, the silent killer of retirement dreams. He uses the analogy of a treadmill. Inflation is the treadmill, always moving forward. If your money is just sitting in a bank account, you're standing still, and eventually, you'll fall off the back. Investing in growth assets like shares through your super fund is how you run faster than the treadmill, ensuring your money grows and retains its buying power for the long haul. He also stresses the importance of choosing an ultra-low-cost index fund for your super. Back in the planting stage, he guides you to switch out of expensive, high-fee funds. A difference of just 1% in fees can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. He's a huge advocate for index funds that automatically invest in the biggest companies in Australia and around the world. It's boring, but it beats most professional stock pickers over the long term. You now have your home, and your long-term retirement investing is on autopilot. There's one last piece of the grow puzzle. Step 6. Boost your mojo to 3 months. Remember that mojo account you started with $2,000? It's time to supercharge it. Your fire extinguisher bucket, having done its job saving for your house deposit, is now pointed at your mojo account. Your goal is to fill it until it holds 3 full months of your basic living expenses. This is the final step to true financial security. This isn't just an emergency fund. It's a get-the-hell-out-of-there fund. It's the freedom to quit a job you hate. It's the peace of mind to handle a major medical emergency without a second thought. It's the ultimate trophy. Having this buffer, he argues, is the #1 purchase for happiness. Research from Harvard to Princeton shows that beyond a certain income, more money doesn't make you happier. But having savings, having control, has a direct and measurable impact on your well-being. With 3 months of mojo, you'll never worry about short-term money problems again. The planting is done. The growing is well underway. Your tree is strong and starting to bear fruit. Now it's time for the final, most satisfying phase: harvest. The harvest is about reaping the rewards of all your hard work. Step 7. Get the banker off your back. There are only 2 ways to pay off your mortgage faster: get a lower interest rate and make extra repayments. You're going to do both. First, you make what he calls the $22,000 phone call. You research the lowest variable home loan rate on the market from a no-frills online lender. Then you call your bank's customer retention department and, using his script, Tell them you're about to switch unless they can match the rate. Most of the time, they will drop your rate significantly just to keep you. Second, you guessed it, you point your fire extinguisher bucket, now freed up from building your mojo, directly at your mortgage. By making these extra repayments on top of your lower interest rate, you can save tens of thousands of dollars and wipe years off your loan. The day you make that final payment, he says, is one of the proudest moments of your life. The grass under your bare feet feels different. With your home paid off, you can now turn your attention to the final finish line. Step 8. Nail your retirement number. This is where Scott Pape turns conventional wisdom on its head. Financial planners often scare people by saying you need $1 or even $2 million to retire. He says that's nonsense. He introduces the Donald Bradman retirement strategy, named after Australia's greatest cricketer who was famous for staying not out at the crease. The goal is simple: to ensure you never run out of money. To do this, you need 3 things. First, you must own your home outright. Second, you need to nail your number. His target isn't $1 million. It's a much more achievable $250,000 in super for a couple, or $170,000 for a single, on top of your paid-off home. Why these numbers? Because they are around the maximum you can have in assets and still qualify for a significant portion of the government's age pension. This pension acts as a guaranteed, inflation-indexed safety net for life. Your own super savings then provide an additional tax-free income stream on top of the pension. But there's a third, crucial rule: never, ever fully retire. He doesn't mean you have to keep your old job. He means you should continue to work a day or 2 a week, doing something you enjoy. It's good for your brain, your social life, and your wallet. The government even has tax rules that allow retirees to earn a decent amount of income completely tax-free. When you combine these 3 elements, a paid-off home, a modest super balance topped up by the pension, and a small amount of part-time work, you can achieve what's officially defined as a comfortable retirement, with enough money for holidays, new clothes, and dinners out, without ever having to worry about running out of cash. You've now built your financial fortress. You're secure. You're in control. There's only one step left. Step 9. Leave a legacy. This final step isn't about numbers. It's about purpose. You've worked so hard to gain control of your money and your life. Now, what are you going to do with that freedom? At your funeral, no one will talk about the car you drove or the brand of your watch. They'll talk about the difference you made to the people you loved and the lives you touched. This final step is about consciously deciding what that legacy will be. He encourages you to give your money, your time, or both. He highlights organizations like Kiva, where you can make microloans to entrepreneurs in developing countries, transforming lives with as little as $25. He tells the story of Anthony, a returned defense officer who, after seeing the trauma of war, started a razor company called Brothers Shave, which donates a portion of its profits to support wounded veterans. Your legacy doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as being the person your family can always count on. It's about using the freedom you've earned to live a life that makes you proud. It's the final, beautiful fruit from the tree you planted all those years ago. From the ashes of a fire to a life of complete financial control, the 9 Barefoot Steps create a journey. It's a journey that starts with a simple decision, the alpaca attitude, and ends with the quiet confidence of knowing that no matter what happens, you've got this. Commentary. There's a reason the Barefoot Investor has become more than just a book in Australia. It has become a movement. Its power lies not in some revolutionary, complex financial algorithm, but in its profound simplicity and its deep understanding of human psychology. Most money books feel like they're written for robots. They give you complicated budgets and tell you to use willpower to stick to them. Scott Pape understands that for most of us, that's a recipe for failure. We aren't robots. We're emotional, we're busy, and our willpower is a finite resource. The genius of the Barefoot system is that it acknowledges this from the very beginning. It replaces the need for constant, painful decision-making with a simple, automated system. The buckets? That does the heavy lifting for you. It's not about restriction, it's about freedom. The splurge account is a perfect example. By actively giving you permission to spend money on fun, guilt-free, he removes the feeling of deprivation that causes most budgets to fail. The other masterstroke is the focus on behavioral psychology. The domino your debt strategy is a brilliant application of this. Mathematically, it might make more sense to pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first. But Pape knows that personal finance is more personal than it is finance. Getting a quick, tangible win by knocking over the smallest debt first gives you a shot of dopamine. It builds momentum and, more importantly, it starts to change your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is bad with money and start seeing yourself as someone who pays off their debts. This identity shift is the real engine of long-term change. What I find most compelling, however, is the book's underlying philosophy. It's a quiet rebellion against the frantic, consumer-driven culture that tells us we need more, bigger, and shinier to be happy. The postcode PAVO is a powerful warning against trading your peace of mind for a prestigious address. Pape consistently brings us back to what truly matters: control over your time, security for your family, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. The ultimate goal isn't a billion-dollar bank account. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are in control. So, where can you start? The beauty of this book is that the first step is simple and enjoyable. First, schedule your own Barefoot Date Night. Just one. Put it in the calendar for this month. You don't have to solve everything, just use that time to have an open, honest conversation about money with your partner, or even just with yourself. What's working? What's causing stress? What's one small thing you could change? Second, identify your smallest debt. Just find the number. Don't worry about the whole mountain of debt just yet. Look at that one small domino and ask yourself, what would it take to knock that one over? Making a plan for that single, small victory can be the start of an incredible chain reaction. And finally, ask one simple question: how much am I paying in fees? Log into your retirement or superannuation account and find that number. Knowledge is the first step to control. Just knowing that figure could be the spark that saves you tens, or even hundreds, of thousands of dollars in the long run. Ultimately, Scott Pape has given us more than a money guide. He's given us a roadmap to a less stressful, more intentional, and freer life. He reminds us that true wealth isn't about what you own. It's about the unshakable knowledge that no matter what life throws at you, you'll be able to say, "I've got this." That was a summary of The Barefoot Investor by Scott Pape. We've covered the core ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It shows you the path, but it can't replicate the experience of actually walking it. The real power of this book is in the stories, the specific scripts, and the feeling of empowerment you get as you complete each step. This summary is designed to help you decide if this journey is right for you. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something in you, I wholeheartedly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning, it's about doing, and it can genuinely change your relationship with money and your life. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if this journey through the world of barefoot investing has been valuable to you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.